Hello, New Mexico wrestling fans. It's Adam Merrick. It's Saturday, which means one thing. It's time for Ring Awareness. It's episode 16. When you take 16, you divide it by 2, you get 8, which leads us to this week's guest, the 8-bit warrior, Nick Tendo.
What is up, Adam? Thank you for having me.
Hey, man.
Although I'm horrible at math, I love the competitive edge of video games and professional wrestling. So
There you go. It makes sense.
thank you for having me.
So I kind of start these all the same. What was it that led you to be so enthralled with this product?
I think it dated back to when, I think it was 97 or 98. It was when the feud leading up to, I think it was WrestleMania 14 or I think it was 13, when they were building up Stone Cold Steve Austin's feud with Shawn Michaels, and then Mike Tyson was going to...
Oh, yeah. That was 14.
14, yeah, so close. And, yeah, so I remember watching like one of the shows, and I had just changed the channel, and I was flipping through, and I'm like, what's this? And I was like, oh, I think these guys are going to fight. And I Stone Cold's like pursuing Shawn Michaels up the ramp, and then that's when HBK turned around and just sweet chin music to him, and I was like, whoa, kicked him in the face.
Yeah.
Like, what is this show? And then it ended, and I was like, well, when does it show again, you know? So I jumped on TV Guide. I was like, oh, every Monday. So I got into it, and I was like, wow, and I thought, it's legit, because it was, they had Mike Tyson.
Right.
So
How
like,
could it not be legit?
Like, it's such a huge fight. Mike Tyson's involved.
For sure.
And I was like, oh my god. Like, as a young kid, I was like, this is amazing. Like, what is it? Who's this guy? Like, Mankind. Like, this guy got thrown off of Hell in a Cell. Like, Hell in a Cell, is there actually fire in there? Like,
Yeah.
I was a young kid, so I was like, oh man, Undertaker, this guy's, is he really dead?
Uh-huh.
Like, they pay this guy. He, came back from the dead. They pay him to fight.
Right.
I'm young, eager. I'm watching the show, and over time, I gotta like really, I just submerged myself into it. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, so I even got my brothers into it too. It was
nice.
Pretty cool, and we'd bond that way on Mondays and stuff, and then I always dreamed of like, oh, I want to do it one day.
Nice.
So it was pretty cool, and then as a fan, I think that's where I got started.
Nice, dude. I think that's actually where I got started too. Actually, the first WWF pay-per-view I saw was WrestleMania 14, and I was just blown away. How soon was it that you decided you wanted to pursue becoming a wrestler?
It wasn't until, realistically, I think once I had internet access as a kid.
Okay.
I think I was a teenager, early teen.
Dial up.
Exactly. Dial up, everything. All that.
Exactly.
I went on the internet, and I just steps to take to become a pro wrestler.
Okay.
And then I realized they train, and then I saw the price range, and I was like, holy cow, that's a down payment on a car.
Yeah,
exactly. Like, wow. And then plus the closest place I think was in Texas.
Oh,
and I was
yeah.
like, wow, I'd have to go there, and and it was really iffy for me. And then when I started working at ITS, that's when I met Alex Flores, who's actually running shows in town.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
We're talking a little bit about that.
Right.
And why he approached me because at the time, I think I was 19 when I was working there.
Okay.
He approached me because he had heard I had just finished up doing like a stuntman workshop.
Oh, really?
So he had heard a lot about the stuff I did, and he asked me like, "Did you ever consider being a pro wrestler?"
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Whoa, like holy crap!" Like it was just something that had come into fruition almost.
And you had no idea that he had any sort of
until I heard about him running shows.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So that's why we were talking. I was like, "Hey, that's cool, man." Like I used to watch wrestling, and then I guess that's how the conversation started.
Okay.
A friend of mine worked there, and he would help him with the show. So he's like, "Oh, well, he's running a show here. If you want to help out, make contacts." So I ended up helping out with the show, and then a lot of the guys there now that I can say I've wrestled shows with and worked with. You have Awesome Andy, who was at that show.
Mm-hmm.
Super Chaos was there. Dylan Stone, who actually would later become my trainer, and just all these guys now that I went into it like kind of pretty reluctant. I'm like, okay, let's see what these guys are.
Yeah.
I went into it. I was like, let's check it out. I was blown away.
Wow.
It was like holy crap.
Was that your first taste of anything that wasn't WWE?
Pretty much, that was my first live wrestling event.
Oh wow, cool.
Like I had heard about WWE at the time coming into town, and I was like, oh, we gotta go. But
right.
My parents wouldn't take me.
Oh.
They didn't really like it. They were just like, it's played out,
Yeah.
It's that stuff, and I'm like, I was ready to just pick up a paper route, but that moment in time, I'm like, holy crap, that looks fun. And then before he let us break the ring down, Alex was like, hey, you want to jump in this ring, check it out? I even jumped in there, and I was like, oh, this is sick. I tried to run ropes and stuff. Like, this is legit. So then that was a little before I talked to Alex. He says, well, listen, if you ever want to get into training, he gave me Dylan Stone's number.
Nice.
He's always looking to train guys. it was like about 6 months. I worked up the courage to do it.
Oh, really?
Because like it was just like, oh man, like this is a big step. Like I was also expecting my son. I was like, oh man, what do I do? What do I do? And then once I had my son, I realized like, well, I'm a dad now. You know, that's like any man's biggest challenge is being a dad. Everything else seemed easy. I really contemplated on that. I was like, well, pro wrestling can't be as hard as being a dad, right? So that's when I called Dylan.
Oh, wow.
He arranged for me to go down there with him, and Super Chaos was there. They just kind of showed me basics for the first time, and they were at the time they were charging me a pretty modest rate. Like, I mean, it was affordable. It was actually way more affordable than the Stuntman Workshop was.
Oh, wow.
So, and I think I was giving them $200 a month, which is no problem for me because it's basically a dream coming true.
Yeah.
And then after a while, I was having problems with, like, you know, just Evan's mom. We weren't really working out.
Okay.
And I kind of went into a slump. And then I was talking to Dylan, and I was like, hey, look, man, you know, I've been doing this for like 7 months with you, dude. It's been fun, but, I think I need to take some time off, and, it's hard for me to, like, really come to training with full enthusiasm now, because I'm going through, like, a big breakup. Like, we were even engaged and everything.
Oh, wow.
But it was just, like, we had our, like, civil agreement that, hey, I'm going to move out.
Okay.
So I told Dylan about that, and I was like, man, as far as anything goes, once I get some money again, because I was even between jobs, it affected me that much. Like,
jeez.
Quit my day job, and I was like, oh man, like I'm depressed now.
Yeah.
But he said, well, dude, I don't. His exact words, Dylan Stone. He tells me, well, dude, I don't want you to go and kill yourself. Just come train, dude. Just come help us train. We got some new guys coming. Show them what you know. And just that way we have someone there that these guys can know, like, hey, we've been training.
Right.
And then, like, right there, I knew, like, Dylan Stone was going to be a good friend. Like,
nice.
in Super Chaos till this day, I mean, we train and stuff, and they're great guys. Like, they're genuinely great guys. They're hell of wrestlers.
Yeah.
Like, they're badass. Like, I go back and watch their matches as I did when I started training. I'm like, what do these guys do, I still do that.
Oh, nice.
I watch their matches and stuff, and I'm just like, man, holy cow. Despite Dylan Stone being out of the ring for so long, I still go back and watch the stuff he did.
Stuff. Nice.
I think that's kind of a point where I'm like, well, I could keep doing this, and I think Evan would appreciate that.
Wow.
So as long as, like, he just knows that I'm wrestling. And
so you ended up staying, and you didn't end up stopping at that point.
Exactly. I kept going.
Nice.
It was like I did take a break there. Like, it was like about a month break, and then
gotcha.
Dylan even reached out to me. He's like, where have you been, man? Like, are you okay? Like, that's when that kind of led to our discussion. Like, hey, whoa.
Yeah.
Hold what you're doing. Drop that rope.
Yeah.
Wrestle. He's like, okay. And I was even here and there and helping him out. Like, we'd get floodlights for night,
Oh,
so
cool.
we could train at night.
Yeah.
So I'm helping out any way I can, and then I'm even giving them rides to practice.
Nice.
So I'm trying to, like, really chip in any way I possibly could and stuff. That even eventually led after I was training. I was training about a good 9 months until XCW wanted me to go down with Luis. Well, Luis actually said, hey, do you want to go down and try out for XCW? So I went down. I was like, sure. And then Awesome Andy was there. I was like, oh, cool. I've seen him wrestle. I've actually got to talk to him a little bit when he wrestled in town. So
oh, cool.
He might remember me.
Yeah.
And he kind of did. He did. He's like, oh, yeah, you worked for Alex, huh?
Yeah.
Like, man, that guy. Like, so he ended up being a really cool guy. He's like, well, jump in the ring. So let's see what you got. So I jumped in and gave him a little tryout with Super Chaos. And then he unfortunately at the time didn't have a spot for me in the show. But he's like, well, why don't we do this? We're going to have like a lotto for tickets for the next show.
Okay.
We're going to, you're going to be the guy who wins the tickets. You
go really?
And then at the time, Nathan Sin was the champion.
Okay.
So I got to meet him probably the coolest way possible. To this day, every time I run into Nathan, we always talk about it. I'm like acting like a fan, just a total mark, just in the ring. Like, yeah, I want tickets to this show. I love my life, And then he comes out, cuts his promo, like, you know what? If anyone who should be here, be happy for being a winner, it should be me because I'm a champion. Who are you? You're just some kid who won ticket, big thing.
Yeah.
And then Andy had even told me, like, oh, hey, can you bump, like, out of a fireman carry? It ended up being, like, I think it was, like, some sort of driver. I forgot. It happened so fast. But he gets me in his finisher, holds me in a fireman carry, and then this big old, like, kind of like, a pile driver, but you, like, take it like I basically landed on my shoulders.
Oh, okay.
So that one, like, where I land curled up.
Yeah.
And I'm just selling it like I'm dead.
Wow.
Like, genuinely my first bump ever at a live show, and I can even hear people amidst the crowd like, oh my god, he's not even a wrestler.
Yeah, so
like,
it's totally...
What are we doing here? Like, stuff like that happening.
That's a cool way to come in.
They take me to the back, and then, like, all the wrestlers that are there, they're just, like, good job, man. Good job. Like, holy crap. Like, good bump. And then Nathan comes back, and he's like, dude, I dropped you on your head, man. Are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. I'm Nick, by the way. Like, oh my gosh, dude. Like, oh my god. And then
So that was your introduction to XCW, correct?
Exactly.
Awesome.
So it was eye opening for me.
So did they continue that? Was that continued as far as later shows?
I believe like for a while, like I think I was still going through a lot, but they weren't able to run shows at the time. It was like that's when they started doing like they were doing shows in Las Cruces.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But they weren't able to do much because I think the next show, I guess the Athletic Commission caught wind of it, and then so unfortunately for that line, like that storyline would have been cool. Like they wanted to bring me in as like the ticket holder in gear, like you know what I've been training and stuff like. Me and Andy had talked about it, but because the shows like were getting prolonged into like cancellations, and then eventually like I made my debut in Anthony, New Mexico, because we went at Gadsden High School. Ed Carnathan, he wrestled as Biggie Styles. He was running a show out there because he helped the athletic department there for their football team to raise money.
Oh, cool.
And it so happens that they have a football coach who used to play for the Steelers back in the 70s.
Wow.
And he was like a ring holder. He won championships. He had a Super Bowl ring.
Oh, no way.
Roy Gorella.
Okay.
Yeah, he was there. He was their place kicker.
Uh-huh.
So he's like, oh, yeah, check out my Super Bowl ring. And I'm like, oh, God, you're Roy Gorella. Like, holy crap. Like,
wow.
So he liked my match. And he was just like, wow, that's really awesome. You guys do this. How often do you do it? And I was like, at the time, it was 2012. So I was breaking into the scene.
Oh, wow.
So I was wrestling about 3 times a month, it seemed.
Uh-huh.
And he was like, holy crap. Like, like in between games, I don't even go to the gym. And I was like, wow, like, I thought you guys do. And he's like, well, well, when you're in the NFL, it's different, but
yeah.
So it was cool. It was like a good show. Like I'd actually wrestled twice that day. It was for their pep rally, and then that night they had the actual show. So it was pretty cool. I mean, I got to work like twice, and then yeah, good.
So that was your first ever show, 2012.
First actual show.
Wow, where you actually competed.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like, I had music, I had my gear, and everything. It was ideal. Like it was a good feeling.
That's awesome.
Actually, that was actually the first one. The second one. The first one we did was in Santa Fe.
Okay.
I totally forgot it because like it happened so quick, and I can't believe I forgot that. Holy crap! Oh my gosh! But that was actually my first show where they put me in a triple threat. It was with actually Rocky Pinasco Jr. And Super Chaos, and that show was in Santa Fe. Oh,
I actually saw that match on YouTube.
Yeah, that was me, my first match.
Was it?
I
didn't know that.
Green as all hell, man. Like, I think
I'll go back and watch it again now.
I go back and I remember hitting the springboard so good, and everybody just freaking being happy about that. Like everybody's like, oh, dude, use it. Yeah, do it in your match. Do it in your match. It's gonna look so cool. And then I remember Awesome Andy had influenced me twice that day. The second time he did it was actually like about my match. He's like, that's good, man, but like that springboard, man, you did it too many times in the match. I was like, okay, totally understandable.
Yeah.
And then the first time was literally during the battle royal at the beginning of the match, at the show. I'm sorry. He hit me with a drop kick, like square. Like I saw him coming in both feet, like, and then I go to turn my head. I'm like, oh, like I'm gonna forget a lot of skills, motor skills after this. And then barely like on my forehead, and I fell off the apron. And the most, like, out of everything that hurt the most is falling off the apron. It was crazy, man. Like, I had realized at that moment, I was like, wow, like I was in the ring with everybody. Like, like everybody that I saw in New Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
Like Danny G was there, Awesome Andy, Super Chaos, Nathan Sin, just even Dynamite, I think, was in that match.
Wow, that's awesome.
Which is pretty cool. I was like, oh, wow. Like, so it came full circle for me. I was like, wow, I started out like studying these guys. And then I'm in the ring with them. So that was a good show. I worked twice that one too, and then heading into it was pretty cool.
Nice.
It's fun.
Let's talk about the gimmick, man. I think you have one of the most interesting and coolest gimmicks that I could think of. You're one of the guys. You're one of the guys who I think actually you were a fan of this and you incorporated it into your gimmick. What led you to become the 8-Bit Warrior, man?
It was actually kind of like under development under my character, like. Because like anyone else, really, unless you already are born with a cool name, you want to change it. And I was like,
of course.
At the time, I was like, well, I love my middle name, Dustin.
Okay.
And you think Dusty Rhodes, prestige.
Right, of course.
And then my son's name is Evan, and I wanted to wrestle under Dustin Evans.
Oh, cool.
And then like it was still gonna be like this video game guy that plays video games. And I was like, oh, that's a cool name, Dustin Evans. It's like it's so down to earth. It's cool. And then I was like Googling like just to make sure like later on I had already had it in plain out, like I was gonna do it. I Googled his name. He's actually a folk singer from like the early '90s, Dustin Evans. And I was like, Well, crap. So I had to
Damn
scrap
it.
it. So I went, I talked to Dylan and I was like, hey man, like, what are we gonna do? Like my name was solid for a while, then I realized I don't play folk. Like, what if he comes over here and I get a cease and desist from some guy holding a guitar? So I was like, oh god. So Dylan's like, well, I don't know. Why don't you be like Nick Combat or Nick Contra and then like Super Chaos is there too. He's like, oh, why not Nick Tendo?
Oh.
So we're just like, oh my god.
Once you heard it.
Once I heard it, I
Click.
was like, oh my gosh, that's awesome, Nick Tendo. So I started doing that. I went straight home. I'm sketching all this stuff. Like, hadn't had my gear laid out yet. Like, I didn't know if I was gonna wrestle in a singlet, like biker shorts or anything. And then I just figured like a traditional style wrestler. You know, and then the kick pads were actually last minute. Like I realized, like, you know, too many people have that arsenal where they're stomping kicks a lot. But then like that's when like, you know, you have a lot of these like, I guess mixed martial arts background.
Oh yeah.
However, like we're breaking
of course.
in wrestling. So I figured that's gonna be kind of like a new wave. And I figured later on I could always incorporate stuff. So that's when the kick pads came in.
Nice.
So over a period of time, I actually ordered 2 sets of gear, one red, one green.
Cool.
And I just got those in because they were like cheap from eLucha.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I need something to wrestling because I was going to be wrestling a show in a month or so.
Oh wow.
But then that one later got canceled because the guy didn't know what he was doing. The guy holding the show. So like I was like, all right, fine. So I had all this gear. And out of the excitement, like for that first match, I think I'm wearing the green gear, and then like that was under development too. Like I think that's when that day before was when I sent in my my gear to be made.
Okay.
So I didn't get them in for like another month or so.
Yeah.
Buddy of mine actually who does make gear and who's awesome at it, Magno.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Really good at it. Awesome. Like it fits even as so much as like if I were to ever wrestle in like a loincloth, I'd have him. You know what I mean? Like he's just awesome at it. He's the guy who made my jacket. He made the jacket.
See, I want to talk about the jacket, bro. I was waiting for you to bring up the
like,
jacket.
Oh my gosh. Well, while we're on the subject, the jacket's been awesome to me.
Dude, I wish you would have brought it, man. I totally forgot.
Oh my god. Like, I know. Like I would have like brought it. We would have taken pictures.
Yeah. Coolest jacket I've seen since Chris Jericho, dude.
Oh,
like when I saw a picture of that jacket. How long have you had the jacket?
That day I took the picture for that show was when I saw it. Like that's when I
first
saw it, laid eyes on it. Like he was working that show and he brought it with him. I was planning on having him have it finished and sent to me the day before, so I made sure everything fit.
Nice.
And he's like, oh, you know what? You're gonna be at the show, right? I'm just gonna bring you your new trunks and your jacket at the show. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So in the event that anything happened, I took my like old trunks, like the one with just the star in my face on the back and my name on it.
Oh yeah.
Pretty basic.
Yeah.
But I was like looking forward to it. So I'm over there like pacing back and forth in the back. You know, like I think the match I'm in, it was like a semi-main event, third from main event.
Okay.
So pretty like right after intermission.
Oh okay.
So I'm just like, oh, where is he? So you see Magno, you know, this guy who's been on MTV2 and Sport TV when he did the gut check.
Oh yeah.
He's like, first thing he says, "Where's Nick Tendo?" And I was like, "I'm over here. What's up, dude?" And he's like, "Oh, here you go." Hands me this like burlap like bag of his, and he's like, "Oh, hopefully everything fits." So I open it up. I check out the trunks. They're on top, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like this is awesome." Like I tried those on first. I'm like, "Okay, they fit." And then like I waited so long, like 5 minutes. Like I was like, "Okay." So I pull the jacket out of the bag, dude, and I'm like, "Holy crap."
Yeah.
Like this came out exactly how I designed it.
That's awesome.
I'm looking at the back. I put it on. Everybody's like, "Dude, oh my gosh, holy crap!" Like, and I'm just over there like literally wanting to give Magno the biggest hug ever.
Yeah.
I'm just like, you did such a good job, you know. Even though I paid for it, but I'm still like, oh my god, I feel like this is Christmas.
Yeah, your like creation came true.
Yeah, like right on, and I'm like, wow, like holy crap. So like, you know, I put pictures up on Facebook right away.
Yeah.
Everybody was more than happy with the outcome.
Yeah, dude.
And at first I was like, wow, like I always wanted to just have something, you know. And I think kind of Chris Jericho was an influence on that.
Was it? I was gonna ask if he was.
He was, and then like I wish it was like even more considered to like put lights in it.
Yeah.
But like just having to fathom like how would I would have done that. But I think later on, you know,
future designs.
I think so. Yeah, well I'm still young. I think I'll do that.
That's awesome. Yeah, dude, I loved the jacket. When I saw the picture of that, I was like, dude, that is sick.
I love it.
That's awesome.
It's an awesome conversation piece.
Yeah, for sure. Does everybody ask you to try it on?
At the last show I did in Greenwood, Texas, it was like at a high school pep rally.
Oh, okay.
Those are actually fun to work because you have like all these kids who are like, they're at that moment in time where they don't know what they're going to do when they grow up. And
Oh,
I've had
yeah.
like actual sophomores and juniors literally like, dude, how long have you been wrestling, man? And
Right.
I'm like, I'm telling them like, hey man, like, I've been doing it for like 3 years, but my advice, dude, go to college first.
Right.
And then like, oh, okay, for sure, man, for sure. And then, can I try on your jacket? And I'm like, all right, cool. And they put it on. They're like, oh my god, it's so sweaty. This is awesome though. And I'm like, dude,
I love it.
that's my okay. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
That's awesome, man. Well, dude, we obviously got to talk about your show, dude. You just started doing Nick Tendo's 8-bit breakdown,
Yes.
which you've done 2 episodes.
So
I've
far.
watched them both. They're both awesome.
Yeah.
What led you to obviously do the show?
Mainly, I just wanted to get kind of more on screen time, I guess you would say. When you work these indie shows, you know it's rare and far between moments you could actually have a mic and talk.
Of course.
I wanted to give everybody like kind of my personality, and I think I didn't want everybody to think that I'm this guy who wrestles and plays video games. That's it.
Right.
I wanted to show the wrestling fans my video game enthusiasm, and then kind of show video game enthusiasts my wrestling. So I think I've even had a few video game fans, solidly, who are just like diehard, like will play video games. That's it. Who haven't really watched wrestling, go and check my matches out.
Nice.
And then I've actually had input from a lot of people like, wow, that's awesome, dude. Like people are just impressed by it.
That's awesome.
So I'm getting out there, like truly trying to just overall set my character. I think everybody can
Yeah.
understand that.
So it's kind of your version how Zack Ryder did the Z True Long Island story
Essentially.
to kind of stay relevant.
Yeah, exactly. Very, very much so. I
Nice.
think it's a good way to do it because I have time on there to kind of talk about what I'm going to be doing. in the
Yeah.
future. It's cool. I mean, it gives everybody a heads up. I mean, it's one thing to see a status, but I mean, I think for a lot of people that, like my wrestling, who are also friends, can see a video that I'm in
Right.
and just be like, well, what's Nick have to say?
Yeah.
And then people check it out, and then I'm actually getting a lot of inquiries about when I'll be wrestling next time.
Yeah.
So it's really cool, and I think it's benefited me in a way where I'm actually doing what I like, and I
Of
get
course.
to still incorporate what I love.
For sure.
So I love it. It's fun. Right now I'm kind of in between episodes because I'm getting new equipment shipped in.
Nice.
Some issues in the last few episodes of lighting.
Oh,
I think-
okay.
Like I think the backdrop on the last one kind of looked like more of a banner than me actually using a green screen.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like relatively new at this. I used to do it a lot in high school, but I took video production like half a semester.
Oh, wow, dude.
But it was enough for me to grasp like, okay, this program, and this program does this, and this.
Oh, nice.
So I
dude.
downloaded those, and then I've been using them ever since. So I'm making like short films and stuff.
Oh, wow.
I'm getting back into that element of being creative
Yeah.
in like behind a booth, you would say.
Right, totally. So you've done 2 episodes so far. First one you did Friday the 13th, which I had no idea there was
Yes.
even a Friday the 13th
Yes.
game, so that was cool to see.
Yeah.
And the second one you did a Kung Fu game, right?
Yeah. That one was one of the original NES titles.
Oh, okay.
Next one, I'm genuinely just infatuated with Tetris, and I'll make it work somehow.
Okay.
It's just like really a puzzle game. There's really no story behind it. It's just,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I see the Tetris tattoo on your
Yeah.
arm.
Yeah. So like, I just like that game because like the background music really reminds me of how me and my brothers spent time together. Same thing with my Mortal Kombat tattoo.
Oh, cool.
So I have that going on, and Mortal Kombat and Tetris are just those times where me and my brothers genuinely got to spend time together and really bond.
Yeah.
We'd have like little tournaments, like who could clear the most lines and last the longest on Tetris, or Mortal Kombat tournaments, Street Fighter, stuff like that. I got the Mortal Kombat tattoo and I showed my brothers, and I think they were literally beyond the verge of like, dude, oh my gosh. So like, the day I showed them I got the tattoo, that's when I bought my Sega Genesis. We actually got a copy of Mortal Kombat 1.
Okay.
First one, and we were starting to play that.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, Tetris, it was the same way.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's enough where you hear the background music enough times when you're a kid. It just reminds me of just like waiting for my brother to like really screw up and then me to jump in and like, all right, let's see how far I can get.
Right.
So I remember just like, especially the song speeding up as it piles up.
Yeah.
So like, I have a lot to say about that game, and I think it's gonna be a good episode. I mean, more or less. I mean, it's gonna just. I also try to add messages too on the shows. I don't know,
Right.
like, I think Kung Fu was like. I try to add a positive message about never giving up.
Yeah, your commentary whenever you're reviewing it is really funny. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed the
I'm
commentary on
glad.
the Kung Fu game.
That's just literally me, and like I actually play video games and I talk out loud.
Do you
Like I talk to myself and I'm just like, oh my god,
You're by yourself.
why did they do this? Sometimes I say so much stuff. I'm literally like, why wasn't anyone here to hear that? Like,
Yeah.
I think that's why one of the reasons too. I think I wanted to do this show.
Nice.
It's not a major point in my life where I'm playing new games now. But I think, as far as me being this classic video game review wrestler, I think it's good to kind of show people the part of their childhood.
Yeah, dude, exactly.
I want to give people that just hard hitting nostalgia feel.
For sure, and it works.
Absolutely, and I love doing that.
Yeah,
I love being that guy. Like, hey, do you remember that time we went to, I'm that guy.
Yeah, you totally are.
I really
You're right.
Reminisce.
You're right.
It's a good way to do it.
Were there any wrestling games? Do you plan to review any wrestling games that were for the NES?
I have a few of the WrestleMania titles.
Okay.
And I'm still looking for, because it was a big part of my childhood, WWF WrestleMania Steel Cage Challenge.
Oh.
And that one just in its own was like, you could do regular matches, but it was like more, it kind of like went around steel cage matches. And which is weird because like you climb up to the top of the cage and you win. You don't even have to be outside.
Oh, really?
So like every time like you go up to the top, that's when you win. So I think that's like Hulk Hogan, Undertaker, Sergeant Slaughter, the Mountie was in there too.
Randomly.
Like everybody. And then like their theme songs are all like pixelated.
Yeah.
So I remember playing that and then like always trying to do the steel cage matches. I was decent at the other matches.
Uh-huh.
But I never won a steel cage match on there.
Oh, jeez.
So it was just horrible. And then I also have just a WrestleMania on there too.
Okay.
So that's the one with the Hulk Hogan on the front.
Uh-huh.
And he's just like tearing his shirt off, all cool.
Yeah.
And then the title screen is Rest in Peace, Ultimate Warrior. So I think that'd be cool to do. I mean, just kind of in remembrance of him. And,
right.
And then Nintendo 64's WrestleMania 2000.
I was going to ask you, what do you think is the best game ever? I mean, I would say that.
That one.
Yeah.
By far. Only because, like, it was in its way. It was, like, the Attitude Era.
Totally.
Like, at its prime. Like, I think that's when Stephanie McMahon was abducted by Undertaker and strapped to the cross, and that's when Stone Cold Steve Austin made the save, dude.
Exactly.
I swear, like, I have a girlfriend now,
uh-huh.
and when I met her, I genuinely wanted her to be tied to a cross so I could rescue her. That's like, because like, how awesome would that be, dude?
Yeah.
And when I saw that, and then like I was like, wow, like that was the best time of my life watching WWF.
That's awesome.
The Attitude Era, which was a lot of
people
could agree.
Exactly. Nobody will argue with you on that. We've got to get to some fan questions, buddy. We got a few for you.
Okay.
Abron, we all know Abron, fearless leader Abron.
Oh my gosh.
He wants to know your comments on the page, obviously. In case you're living under a rock, this guy started the New Mexico Fan Wrestling page. He wants to know what you think of the page, what you think about the people on the page.
I think it's a great page. Genuinely, it genuinely talks about everything that I would have wanted to know before social media.
Right.
I mean, I think as a New Mexican wrestling fan, it's a few and far between shows actually in town. So like people who watch it, people who like to talk about it but don't have the means to, have this forum to do it.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Abron, like I had pulled him off to the side at the last XCW show I was at, and he was there. You know, God bless his soul, made that drive.
Yeah.
And he went up to me and got a picture, and I gotta thank him for that. I gotta thank him, like, thank you for giving us indie wrestler guys from here in New Mexico kind of a forum as well to let everybody know like
when shows are,
how we're doing, and how close we are to like someday maintaining a good fan base. And I think if he keeps it up long enough, he could have it to where it's built.
Yeah.
Like I think so. It's like anyone's creation, it's still a baby at this point.
True.
It's an honor to be the two-time New Mexican wrestler.
You are. True story.
Yeah, and that's something I like to boast about.
Yeah.
I think I'm tied with Super Chaos.
Yeah, you're tied. Yeah, somebody. I think I think it was Mosh Pit Mike. I think Mosh Pit Mike, maybe Super. I don't even know, dude.
I've lost Mosh Pit Mike's 3 times though.
He might be. I don't even know.
Oh
I've lost track.
But like I'm one of the Double Crown champions.
That's awesome.
But, and I think it's cool. But I love that page in a way because it's entertaining. You see these guys.
Very entertaining.
Oh my gosh, like people get so into it. Which
They do.
What I still love, and I'm glad that I've never given up on humanity, because you have everybody talking about their favorite wrestlers, putting the utmost emphasis on actually becoming them.
Right.
And I love it.
It's
It's entertaining for me. It's a good way to wake up and start a day and seeing
what everybody's talking about.
Everybody's talking about. And I love it.
Yeah. Well, he also wants to know, as far as your finishing move, how did you come up with it?
Essentially, the kill screen is a flip DDT.
Right.
That was because I was a huge mark for P.D. Williams and his Canadian Destroyer.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a flip pile driver, and I really wanted to do that. I was like, oh my god, it's such an awesome move. I had asked Super Chaos one day. I was like, hey, do you think, just like jokingly, he's like, I was like, hey, do you think P.D. Williams would mind if I did a Canadian Destroyer and if he saw this guy in the Indies doing it? He's like, oh, dude, I don't think anybody likes when people do their finisher moves. I was like, that's true. And I was like green at the time, so I'm like, what if one day like I have a match like and I win, you know, with the Canadian Destroyer, and then P.D. Williams comes to my house at night and is like
hey,
choking
dude.
me like, hey,
That's
what the hell,
mine.
bro? And he, you know, he brings Scott Steiner with him or something. Like, I don't know, dude. So I was like, oh, well, I've never seen a flip DDT before.
Right.
So that was actually, I, you know, like just came up with that, and first time I did it was at the benefit show in Santa Fe. That was my first match.
Oh yeah.
The triple threat match, and hit it on Super Chaos, and it was enough to like really get the match in my bag for me. Like, I mean, it was a cool move because it's original. You don't see somebody dropped on their head often.
Yeah.
Unless it's like in a bike accident or something. But when
True.
you intentionally grab a guy by his head, throw your momentum behind him, over him, where he actually does his own backflip and spikes. I just painted that into my head enough times to where I first tried it and I was like, oh my god, I have something here.
Yeah.
So, and then the name for it, Kill Screen, basically derived from it was the King of Kong. I don't know if you ever watched that documentary.
No.
If you have Netflix, check that one out too.
Okay.
It talks about this guy who beat the high score ever on King Kong. Oh, no, Donkey Kong.
Okay.
King Kong's a movie. But,
Yeah.
so it's about him basically maintaining his title, and then this other guy, Billy Mitchell, comes in, who's like a prodigy of video games.
Okay.
They were big in the 80s when they were kids because they were the only two who actually got the two highest scores on that game.
Oh
They
wow.
actually won contests, like tons of money for it.
Really?
And then when he beat that score, Billy Mitchell had a videotape that was already like 18 years old, plays it at the same arcade in front of the guy who just beat it, who had beaten his own score before.
Wow.
So totally just undercut this guy. It's a really crazy game. But anyway, on the Donkey Kong, if you play the game enough where you've beaten it, it's just automatically starts over. And if you play the game enough time, like enough levels after, the Mario just dies. And
Oh, really?
The game just like kind of resets.
Really?
Yeah, and so that's
Random.
called the kill screen. So if you're
Awesome.
good enough, if you're a good enough gamer, whether your high score is high or not, and you get to the kill screen, that in itself is like
Ultimate achievement.
ultimate achievement. Like you've literally beaten a game.
That's awesome.
Like, its CPUs are like confused and it stops.
Plus, it just sounds sick.
Yeah.
Like you hear his
Exactly.
finisher's kill screen, like
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
something bad's gonna happen to his
Exactly.
opponent.
So, and it's awesome.
Well, Maria wants to know, as far as a move that you may have not, that you don't have in your arsenal right now, maybe something you're working on. What move would you like to incorporate into your move set?
I've always seen myself as kind of like a smaller guy. That being a high flyer
Right.
would be nice to do. I've been working on the 450 splash.
Awesome, dude.
Very fun, insane move to see, but also a very dangerous one.
I'm sure.
I have it down kind of pat where I can go up to the top rope and just kind of like deep breath and just hit it. And it's like a full, for those of you at home who don't know what it is, it's a full front flip rotation where you land on your stomach on top of the opponent.
Right.
And that one was just something that I learned because I saw Dylan Stone do it enough times. Like it was
Okay.
like clockwork.
Nice.
Guy was just amazing at it. He could hit it just, hey Dylan, you know, the first time I asked him, can you show me a 450 splash? He puts this like punching bag out on the ring, gets up on the top post and hits it like nothing, and then gets up. He's like, yeah, that's pretty much it. Why do you want to try it? And I was like, oh my god, like. So I think the first time I genuinely tried it, he said all it is just a tuck.
Uh-huh.
I did it and landed it, and I was like, whoa, like freaked out. Like, I was like, but I think I was standing on the top of the rope for maybe a good 2 minutes before I actually did it.
Really?
It's scary because you
Oh, I'm
realize
sure.
you're throwing your whole body around. So when I first started learning it, I was getting good at it, you know. And then one time I tried it at practice, I guess I overshot my target, and I landed flush, but my legs hit the punching bag, and actually I kind of did the worm real hard on the mat. So like I kind of got whiplash / a little concussion.
Oh no.
So when I hit the floor, it was in front of Supercast and one of our other guys, Isaac.
Okay.
In front of them, that at first, like, they didn't realize I like literally slapped my own face with the wrestler. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm trying to get up dazed, like dust came up too when I hit it that hard.
Wow.
Like I was like, oh, like I looked like Jean-Claude Van Damme on Bloodsport. Like it was like that, dude. Like I'm like, but I was just
That's
like,
funny.
like I forgot where I was for
Yeah.
like a few minutes, and I came to, and I was like, So I didn't try it again for like another few months.
Oh, okay.
And then I did it once, and it was literally like, it was like a tightrope walk that time. Because I was literally like, oh my gosh, don't hit your face, don't you hit your face and hit it. And then got back to doing it again.
Yeah.
But it was really a step backwards when I did that. I was like, oh my gosh, but.
Have you mastered it now?
I would say I've got it down. I necessarily wouldn't say I'd mastered it, but I definitely got into finding that right way to tuck.
Gotcha.
It's all just a tuck, really. I mean, you front flip, tuck enough, and then open up at the right time, and you're already on you're on the mat.
Heck yeah.
So I'd say I got it down.
Nice.
But I wouldn't be like Justin Gabriel status.
Right.
I think that guy, he hits it out of a springboard, right?
Yeah, dude, he can. Yeah,
gosh.
I've seen him do it. It's ridiculous.
I could barely hit a clothesline, and I get scared.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, Karen wants to know, when and where will we be able to see Nick Tendo, the 8-Bit Warrior, in the ring again?
Genuinely, that is a great question. Right now, as soon as possible in XCW, their card's pretty stacked with like really monumental matches.
For sure.
And I've had a discussion with Ozymandias, who's kind of part of in charge of booking there. And right now, it's hard for me to just go out there and wrestle. He's got like really good key players out there right now.
Mm-hmm.
And each match, depending on the venue's rent and everything, he's only constricted to a certain amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think if they go over, even like the guy who owns the building there is just kind of like a stickler about the time you rent it for. So he actually charges extra.
Oh, wow.
So it's like the same way wages work, I believe, like time and a half.
Oh, no way.
So like I think if you even go over like another 15 minutes, which would be an extra match.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think 15 minutes is like the same price for an hour, I think.
Jeez.
So he's told me like, hey, like man, like I think the last show I was gonna go do, and like I didn't take it personal. I understood the whole business aspect of it, but he kind of ran the card down with me, and he's like, "Oh, dude, like I wanna have you against Dom Vitale."
Nice.
I'm like, "Yes, oh my gosh, cool, right on." And then I guess a couple of guys from Mexico canceled because they couldn't go down there, and that was the same show he had Paul London.
Oh, okay.
So he's like, "Oh, dude, I had to throw the card around, man, and unfortunately enough, man, I kind of don't need you at the moment, but I kind of want to have you on call."
Oh,
so
cool.
if I ever need anybody, I'll give you a call. And Andy's been that guy who's done me enough favors already.
Yeah.
And I told him, that's absolutely fine, man.
Nice.
But if it's anywhere, I would genuinely love to be in an XCW ring again. It's a good group of dudes. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody's friendly down there, and they take care of you.
Right.
And it's good. And the only thing I regret about that is like Paul London was there.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh
That's
man.
true.
And I was even debating like I should just go down there. I should just go and hang out. And,
Right.
help out, but. I ended up getting conflicted with something else that happened at last minute anyway. But, while everybody's still young, I think I still have time.
Yeah, for sure, dude. You're still young. You got plenty of opportunities to eventually meet Paul London and many more, I'm sure.
But at the moment, I mean, if anyone reaches out to me with enough time in advance, like like at least 3 weeks, I'm open to it.
Nice.
So, like, if just give me a date, a place, a time, if it's like 3 weeks ahead of time, I'll do it.
So definitely stay tuned to your Facebook page
Absolutely.
for the latest on when you might be wrestling again.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Exactly.
We got one final question. It's a wrestler question. Coming from your good friend, Super Chaos. He wants to know what the similarities are between yourself and legendary Hall of Famer Terry Funk.
Oh my gosh, what a great question. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, besides being two of the most legendary wrestlers of all time, me and Terry Funk also seem to retire a lot.
Is that what he's getting at?
It basically, yeah. I mean, I think enough times where I think me and Super Chaos joke about this enough, and even Ryan Dean too.
Okay.
They're always just like, "Oh, hey Nick, are you gonna come wrestle? Or are you gonna retire again?" It's like, oh my gosh, like
It's a running joke.
it's basically a running joke, and
That's
it's
awesome.
totally understandable.
Yeah.
The whole business itself is like the mafia. You think you're out, and then you get dragged back in.
Yeah.
It's just like you get
I've heard
driven back in, and it's hard to stay away from. Truth be told, man. I mean, I think I was in that solid period of time after my injury. After I injured my neck, I didn't think I was gonna come back.
Wow.
I was like, man, like I think I was like a horse ride away from being to where Christopher Reeves was at. Like as much as I love Superman, but it's like
A horse ride
know,
away.
it was just crazy, man. And I was like, then I think I even made an announcement on Facebook, which till this day I regret. Like I genuinely regret saying that I would retire because it's where my passion is. I think if anyone's given the opportunity to be a wrestler, I say take it.
Yeah.
But under the extreme caution of, do you have a plan B? Do you have, especially health insurance, which now I have. I have health insurance now for sure.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
After that injury, I was literally like still working my day job and then still going to bed, just laying down. I didn't have any of a social life really.
Yeah.
It was depressing. Like I was literally like on the verge of getting a stick on my head, strapped to my back like a brace. I was on that, and I was like, oh man. Well, till this day, like I still want to be a part of the wrestling community.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's a fun way to really expel energy and stress. And truth be told, if it wasn't for my son, honestly, like, what would I be doing right now? I think I wouldn't. I mean, as anyone who could really look up to their dad and say, my dad's cool just because of him.
Yeah.
But I want my son to know, like, my dad's awesome because he's good, awesome, we do fun stuff, and he happens to be a wrestler. But at first, I was like, my son's going to love me because I'm a wrestler.
Totally.
It was like, that was my solidarity, like, my thought about it. Like, my dad's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, but my dad was a truck driver, and I idolized the crap out of him.
Uh-huh.
Like, so I think I thought about that, and I was like, my son's going to love me regardless. You know what I mean? He would also be kind of disappointed if I stopped, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
it's your son.
exactly. And he's a good kid. He deserves to at least see me a few more times wrestle.
Yeah.
I still have plenty matches in me.
For sure. That's awesome, man. Well, dude, we had so much planned out to talk about. We didn't even get a chance to cover half of it.
No,
you were a great guest, man.
For sure.
If anybody wants to contact you, of course, you're on Facebook, right?
That's right. I'm on facebook.com/Nick Tendo, and then check out my page for the next episodes of Nick Tendo's 8-Bit Breakdown on facebook.com/Nick Tendo's 8-Bit Breakdown. And just kind of keep posted to there. I also have my YouTube page, too, that is linked to my show's page, I believe, on Facebook. But it's youtube.com/ the 8-Bit Warrior 101, I think.
There you go.
Yeah.
Check out the videos if you haven't. Support Nick Tendo. Support all the wrestlers here in New Mexico. They're doing great things, guys. Thank you so much again for listening to Ring Awareness. Until next time, this is Adam Eric, signing off.